Hello everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today I will be sharing how I crochet these 5 little flower appliques. They're very simple to make. I used a size 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, and this is all acrylic yarn. And they're so cute and adorable and small. And you can use these for so many different things. You can use it for a hair clip, a charm. My little girl wants me to put these on her Crocs, so I'll see how I can do that. But yes, let's grab our hook and yarn and let's get ready. To begin our flower, I will be using yellow acrylic yarn, and this is a size 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. So we're going to start with the center of the flower, and the center, the yellow portion, is the same for all 5 of them. So we're going to start off by forming a magic ring. Pull the yarn and chain 1. And in this magic ring, we're going to do 10 single crochets. Close out my ring and slip stitch to that first single crochet, chain 1 and fasten off. That's it. That is the center of our flower. I pull this a little tighter, and with these 2 ends I just simply tie them together. I create a couple of knots and then cut off the excess. There we go. I already did my 5 here. Okay, so let's start off with our first flower. We're gonna do this pretty white one here. So what we do, I have this white yarn here. I believe this will be enough. So what we do is we take our little center here, and I'll pull the yarn through any random stitch. Pull it through that first one. Grab my yarn, pull it through. And we're going to do a chain of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to slip stitch into the same stitch we started. And it creates a bit of a loop. There you go. Slip stitch into the next stitch, and repeat the same process, chain 7. And slip stitch back into the same stitch, and there's our second loop. Slip stitch into the following stitch and repeat the process. There you go. It's as simple as that. I'll go ahead and finish this pattern, and I'll meet you at that last stitch. I completed my 10 loops, and here is my last one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to that first stitch right here. Slip stitch, chain 1 and fasten off. And just like I did before, just tie these 2 ends together and cut off the excess. There you have it. Very cute. The next flower we are going to work on is this pretty blue one. I like how this one turned out. This is also very easy. So just like before, we just pick any random stitch, insert your hook and pull the yarn through. We're going to start off by doing a chain of 2. 1, 2. And we're going to work a bunch of stitches all in that same stitch to form the first petal. So all in the same stitch, we're going to do 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After you do your 5, do a chain 2 and slip stitch back into that same stitch. There's our first petal. And then just slip stitch into the next stitch. And because this one has a bunch of stitches, the neighboring stitch can get a little lost. So you kind of just pull these to the side, insert your hook into the next stitch, and slip stitch. To do the next petal, simply slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2, and repeat the pattern. 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2 and slip stitch back into the same stitch. There's the second petal. Repeat the pattern all the way around and I'll meet you in the last stitch. So I completed my last petal, and this last stitch here was my last slip stitch. And then I'll do one more slip stitch into that first petal there, just to kind of close it out a little bit better. Slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. And then I'll just tie those ends together. And there's the second flower. For our next flower, we're going to do this double layer flower. And we do this one by working in the front loops and the back loops of our stitches. So for those that don't know, as you can see, every stitch looks like a V-stitch here. And each stitch has a front loop, which is this one here, and the back loops are the back bumps. That's the back loop. So we'll be working in these 2 stitches. So to do the front portion of this little flower, I will insert my hook into any random front loop only. So just like so. I'm not going to insert the hook through the entire stitch, just the front loop there. And pull the yarn. Now we're going to start off by doing a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to slip stitch into the next front loop only. There's our first one. Chain 4 again. Slip stitch into the next front loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch into the next front loop only. And that's all there is to it. Repeat the pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you in the last front loop only. I just completed my last loop, so now I have 10 little loops all the way around. And now we're going to work the second layer in the back loops now. So here is my last loop, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first back loop only. So to look at the back loops, you can just turn your project around and you can see them pretty clearly. The acrylic yarn makes it very easy to see the back loops. It's this line all the way around, and there should be 10. So I can see my first one right here. So I'll slip stitch in that first one and begin our second layer. To do that, we're going to now repeat the same process, except we're going to do a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch into the next back loop only, and it's right here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch into the next back loop only. And that's all there is to it, folks. I'll go ahead and repeat the process, and I'll meet you at the end of that last stitch. So I completed my round. Here is my last loop there. And I'm gonna slip stitch in that back loop only. But you know what, friends? If you feel like you can't find the loops, you can just slip stitch in any random space. Like, as a matter of fact, this is the first loop I made of this round. I'm just gonna pull it through there, chain 1 and fasten off, and just tie the ends, because I understand that the space is so small, and sometimes you kind of just lose your stitches, and it's not a big deal. You can just slip stitch in any random stitch that's close to there, and there you have it. Here's our flower. It's all completed. Here is the next flower we're going to do. So I'll go ahead and pull my yarn through. After you pull your yarn through, we're going to start by making a chain of 2. 1, 2. So for this first petal, we're going to do 2 double crochets in the same stitch we did our chain 2. 1 and 2. All in that same stitch. And then we're going to do a picot. A picot is doing a chain 2, and we're going to insert our hook into these 2 stitches, the top one and the side one here. Insert your hook through those 2 loops, pull the yarn, and slip stitch. It creates a point. This is called a picot. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then do a chain of 2 and slip stitch in that same stitch. There you have it. There's our first stitch. Now we're going to slip stitch into the following stitch and repeat the process. Chain 2, 2 double crochet in the same stitch, picot, two double crochets in the next stitch, chain 2, and slip stitch in the same stitch. There's our second petal. And then just slip stitch into the following stitch to do your next petal. I'll go ahead and repeat the process, and I'll meet you at the end of this last stitch. I completed all my petals. I did my last chain 2 there, and I close it out by doing a slip stitch into that first single crochet where I started my first flower, right in here. Insert my hook, slip stitch, chain 1 and fasten off. There we have it. Alrighty, let's work on our last flower. Here is the last flower we'll be doing. So after you pull your yarn through, do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to skip 1, slip stitch into the following. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 1, insert your hook into the following. And what we're doing here is we are creating these loops. We're going to create 5 loops. After I make my last 3, I will slip stitch into the first one there. So we created 5 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to create the petals. So slip stitch into the first loop and chain 1. To do the petal, we're going to do a single crochet, half double crochet, a double crochet, a treble crochet, which is just like a double except you loop it over 2 times. 1, 2, insert the hook, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's a treble. Then we're going to do a double crochet, half double crochet, and a single crochet, all in that loop. Here, we'll do another one together. Just go directly into the next loop and do a single crochet, a half double, a double, a treble, a double, a half double, and a single. There you go, very easy. I'll go ahead and complete the last 3 and I'll meet you at the end. Here I am at the end of the last petal, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to the first single crochet. Oops, I missed it. Chain 1 and fasten off. And there we have it, all done. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy these cute little patterns. These are giving me very spring vibes. You can do a lot of fun, different things with these patterns. And of course, the sky's the limit with the color combos. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time. Thank you all so much. Bye.